Aloha, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Logan, and today I would like to talk about mandatory voting, which that's my speech topic. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you. Since the birth of the United States, the original 13 colonies withheld their core standards of this country. They believed that their citizens, like ancient Greece, should have the power to make decisions to run their own country. Our predecessors have kept and protected that right for over 200 years. Until today, until in this decade, where our country's voter turnout rate is dropping, no one seems to care anymore. This is an issue that has been going on since the 2014 midterm elections. Voter turnout rates were at their lowest since 1942. Hawaii is especially affected by the loss of voter turnout rate. In the 2016 presidential election, Hawaii once again had a noble distinction of leading the country with the lowest percentage of voter turnout rate, 34.8%. That is only 286,180 voters out of 726,940 voters. Mandatory voting will help minimize political polarization in the U.S. When voter participation rates are low, a small minority often ends up controlling leadership and policy decisions, while lower income, younger, and non-white voters are less often heard by political leaders. In 2015, President Obama gave a speech in Ohio on middle-class economics, saying that, I quote, "It would be transformative if everybody voted. That would change the political map completely. The people who tend not to vote are young, they're lower income, they're skewed more heavily towards immigrant groups and minority groups. And they're often the folks that are scratching hard, working hard to get here." End of quote. President Obama also mentions in his speech about other smaller countries having mandatory voting, including Australia. Australia acts as a primary example for the positivity of mandatory voting. Mandatory voting was signed into law by the Australian government in 1924, and the results were remarkable. In the 1925 election, the first held under the new law, turnout soared to 91%. In recent elections, it has hovered around 95%. Since it was enacted into law, it has remained and been protected for nearly a century. So why do we still not have mandatory voting in the United States? Opponents argue that it would dampen the voice of the majority and that uninformed people would vote randomly, skewing election results. American compulsory voting were proposed, but unfortunately these ideas were continuously and often vigorously opposed or dismissed as absurd. But these negative effects did not materialize. Australia reports that the percentage of ballots intentionally spoiled or completed randomly as acts of resistance remained on the order of 2 to 3%. And compulsory voting in America is still an option for our government to adopt. For us teenagers, it's extremely important to think about voting. This especially affects our future and everyone that lives here. In order for change to happen, there must be action. Young voters in America account for half of the voting population, making us a powerful political force. We have the power to change our country's path if we all serve our duty as American citizens. You may not care now, but you might 4 years later. You're born with the right to vote. So use that power and make a difference that could change the lives of millions of Americans. Every vote counts. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, to listening to my speech. Hope you have a good day. Bye.